Centos 8 went end of life at the end of December 2021. I thought that I only had a few Centos 8 boxes, but it appears I have 4 or 5. And there have been security patches released for the latest versions of Red Hat, which means there would normally be updates for CentOS. You will see updates for CentOS 7, but not for CentOS 8 because it's end of life. So I finally reached a point where I need to migrate my CentOS 8 installations over to almalinux. And I'm going to use the script provided by almalinux to do that update. Before I get started, I had some updates that I didn't put in the initial video. It looks like as of today, which is January the 21st, you can still connect to the Centos 8 repositories and upgrade from your version 8.x up to version 8.5. You have to go up to 8.5 to run the almalinux migration script. And also note that the actual migration for these two systems took about 20 minutes total. That's including the reboot. Then you go over to the Centos project homepage and you scroll down. They had a reminder that they posted that Centos 8 was going to be end of life. Basically, what that means is they won't be providing any updates of any kind for Centos 8. So if there's a critical vulnerability that's issued, you will not have a update for Centos 8. Two of my main systems that I use for Centos 8 are a Squid caching proxy server that I use to cache downloaded packages from my Debian virtual machines, and I previously used it to cache RPMs from my Alma Linux and Rocky Linux downloads. I've since migrated those to a local repository, but I still use the Squid caching server for my Debian boxes. So let's see what version we have on here. This one is CentOS release 8.5. And again, all it does is it's a caching server. So if I were to do an apt clean, well, like I'm going to tail the log over here. This is the Squid caching server, and I'm tailing the log file for it. So if I'm on one of my Debian VMs, and I do an apt clean, that's an older machine, so it's got a different password. So I do the clean all. So when I do an apt update, I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see it. You want to watch the log over here. When I do an apt update, it goes and it contacts this proxy server before it starts pulling down any updated packages. And if I install something, it's going to download the deb file, which is a package, and it's going to cache it. It's going to keep a copy of it. So that when I go to another system and do the same thing, it's got the newer password. I need to do a clean all to make it come back and grab that. So if I do that, you'll see there it's hitting the caching server, which is what I want it to do. Now the other box that I have running Centos is my OBSNinja box. Let's see what that's running. That's running 8.3.2011. And what that does is it lets me pull in camera sources so that I can use them in my videos. I've got a previous video where I show how to install OBSNinja. And what I'm doing is, this is my main camera here. I'm sorry, my main camera is here. I'm currently running that off of my QNAP running Docker. And then this camera right here, the second camera, is actually connected to the Centos box. And what I want to do is update both of these boxes. So what I have to do is go to the almalinux website. And there's a button here that says Migrate. You hit that button and it links you to the almalinux-deploy script. And you can go down and you can read all the information about the deploy script. Basically what it's going to do, it's going to use git to clone this source code, and then it will have a script that you can use to do the actual migration. So I'm going to do that first on my OBSNinja box, which is the Centos8 box. Centos8 already has Git on it, I believe. Yes, Git's already there. And I'm going to do this as root. Okay. I'm going to just make a directory, and they call this deploy. Let's call it deploy. And then switch over to that directory. And I'm going to clone the deploy script. So the git command will clone this script into the current directory. All right, it's done. Go into that directory, and there's a README there. Always check the README file. All right, it says OS version 8.5 is required, but I can't download that now because the support has ended. But I'm going to try to run the script anyway. And all you have to do is run this deploy.sh script, it says. I'm going to look at the requirements.txt file also. Which doesn't really give me anything. So I'm going to try to run this almalinux-deploy script. All right, it gives me an error. It says upgrade your OS from 8.3 to at least 8.5. Let's try to upgrade this Centos8 box. By doing a DNF upgrade. And it says it's going to download all of these packages. And the total size is 1.1 gig. So we're going to let that download go ahead and run, and we'll come back once it's completed. Okay, the upgrade has completed. I did a DNF update. Upgrade will also work to try to get up to version 8.5, and we're going to reboot. I'm going to pull up the console for that. Just in case it has any errors, I want to be able to watch them. Should put some music in here. All right, it reboots there. I'm going to close that console and I'm going to reconnect to it. But SSH may not be loaded yet, so I'll have to wait a second. And there it is. And that puts me on Centos 8.5.2111. Now I want to go back in as root. Go back to that deploy. And try running that script again. All right, it tells me my OS is supported. And it starts performing the upgrade. And this particular installation uses the Squid caching server. So it's actually going out and trying to pull the information down. And you can see they're all misses here, which means it doesn't have the RPM. So it's actually downloading the RPM. Now, if I had another system that I was updating and it was pointing to the caching server, it would pull the RPMs from the caching server. It wouldn't have to go out to the internet again to download them. So we're going to let this install script run and complete, and we will come back when it's done. The migration script has completed. There are a few error messages here about a file descriptor. I don't know what that means, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot. I'm going to pull that up again in a console and watch it reboot. And it says Alma Linux now instead of CentOS Linux. We're going to go ahead and see if it'll reboot. That vert.io error message is normal, so don't worry about it. And it reboots, and you see down here it changes the little graphic from CentOS to almalinux. And I'll let it go ahead and start up. So when I go back and connect to it, the host name is still Centos8. But now it says it's running on almalinux 8.5. Let me check that other camera that I had to see if it's back. All right, there's the camera there that was running on OBSNinja. And you see that it's working. So this is a completed migration from CentOS 8.3. Had to go from 8.3 up to 8.5 CentOS. And then from there, I ran the migration script, which took me to almalinux 8.5. The only application that I have on this box is the OBSNinja, and that's just some HTML pages, and it seems to be working fine for what I need to do. Now we go back to the other option that we had. The other server was running Squid. And it was already at version 8.5, so we should be able to run that install script. But let me go into, what is it? I believe the Squid server points to itself as a proxy, so I need to disable that. What is it called? .com. And I'm just going to comment that out. Okay, then I'm going to create a migrate folder, and I'm going to run the git command. I don't know if git's installed on here. It's not. I don't know what those errors mean, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes. While that's installing, I'm going to copy the command that I need. And here's the command. I don't need it on that box. I need it on this box. I need it on the Centos8, which is the Squid box. And then I'm going to just run the deploy script. It tells me my OS is supported, so it's going to go ahead and start and run the script again. There appears to be fewer updates here. It's 582, it says. So I'm going to let this run and we'll see what it does after that. The migration script has completed on my Squid server, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot it. Gonna pull up a console for it so I can look at it. It's 3. I don't have 3 up, so let me open it. That's because 3 is not a KVM. It is running somewhere else. Let's see if I can find it. There. This is Zen Orchestra, which runs my VMs running on Zen server. I go home and I look at my VMs. I look at Centos8. I look at the console, and it is in the process of rebooting. All right, we get to a Centos login screen. I'll give SSH a second to come up. To go back to Centos8. Go to the log for Squid. Squid appears to come up correctly. Let's see if we can install some packages. Don't want Centos8. We want these Debian boxes. Okay, so if I do an apt update, well, I need to do a clean first to make it reconnect. So if I do an update again, all packages are up to date, and it's still connecting and trying the Squid server. So I'll try the other box. If I do a apt update, that one's got the older password. And you see it's hitting the Squid crashing server. So if I do an upgrade, if I do an didn't stop recording. Yeah, I did stop recording. If I do an upgrade, it's going to go in and download these packages. Can I make this text any bigger? Yes, it's at 15 right now. Let's try it at 20. And I'll hit Y to continue. And you can see here, it's trying to read them from the cache, but not finding them. That's what the miss means. So it's going out and downloading them directly. I believe these are different versions. Yeah, this is a Debian 11 Bullseye. And I know this is an older version, so that's why it's not seeing anything in the cache. Run level, blah, blah. Okay, accept. And that just lets me know that my Squid caching server is working correctly. So I have to remember to tell the caching server to use itself as a proxy. That was in yum.conf. All right, so let me see what version this one is. Yeah, this is a Debian 9 stretch. That's why it couldn't find anything in the cache, because it's running a version 9 and version 9 isn't currently cached. The almalinux migration script will allow you to upgrade your Centos system to almalinux. Just remember that you have to be at version 8.5 on the Centos system, and it may be possible to go from an 8.3 or 8.4 up to an 8.5. You just have to test to see if the Centos repositories will still allow you to do that. Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.